Welcome back to the fourth pillow, the USA mini pillow. And this pillow can be easily done, especially if you just use the fonts that are found in the crafting software. And there are many. But what I thought I'd do is just continue on with the lesson the way I originally taught it and show you how to use Draw and Paint to trace those letters and turn into an SVG. So because this is a small pattern, I'm going to try and fit everything in on the 12 by 12. So that's a mat I'm going to select. And we're going to start with the shape of the basic pillow, which is 5.5 by 8.5. So I'm going to click on right down here, the add or the shapes button, and I'll click right there. And of course, we're going to start with a square and turn it into a rectangle by going to the Advanced tab and change this. First, we unlock the proportions and change the height to 5.5. So I swipe and just type in 5.5 and swipe again and type in 8.5, which is the width. And then I don't need to rotate it or add a border, so I'm good. I'll click OK. And there is my pillow. Now I am going to change this to red. And if you recall, whoops, hang on, let me expand this so I can, there, now I can show you where I am. So I'm going to go into the edit screen and select the material color, which is the red. And this may be a different red, but I'm going to just color it the same. If you want to make it a different color, perhaps a dark red, then you would just use that choice of color. All right. And I want to make sure that this is a type. The type rather is cut file. And the next thing I want to do is duplicate it. And remember, I'm going to do Control D is the shortcut. Or if I go right over here, that little symbol right there on the left is duplicate or duplicate. And then I'm going to bring it down here. Now, another way I could have done this is if I wanted to click on this and then go to multiply. And I could have multiplied vertically by just adding one more. And you can see there that I could actually use those two. However, I'm going to undo that because we're good. Undo that. And now we're back to the edit screen. All righty, so I'm going to scroll in here so you can see. So basically, I'm ready to cut that out, but I also want to load USA in an SVG. And in order to do that, I have to go to the Draw and Paint tab. So let me stop sharing that screen and share the Draw and Paint tab. There we go. Now, what I want you to remember is they have just changed the names of the different types of software, and it's Essential, Extra, and Elite. I had to think for a minute. But I want you to know that that is silver, gold, and platinum. And the Draw and Paint starts in the Silver or Essential software. So for as little as $9.99 a month, you can get this feature for you to be able to make your own SVGs. Just wanted to share that with you so you knew that important piece of information. Okay. And the other thing too, I know that Scrap and Sew offers a 10-month plan, 12-month plan for the price of 10 months. So that's always something you could look into as well if you don't have the software. All righty. So what we're going to do is the first step, we're going to go to Insert up here at the tab, and we're going to insert the file. And when I insert the file, I'm going into my 2025 projects. Is it anybody else that can't believe it's June 2025 already? Oh, yeah. Just amazed. And then I'm going to go into scanned images because I actually took a picture with my phone. I had talked about that previously. And I brought in that scanned image onto my laptop as a JPEG, so I'm able to use it in the Draw and Paint. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I measured this and I have to check to see from the pattern what it measures out. So when I measure it, it's 4.5 wide by 2.25 tall. Yep. So if I want to change the screen setup, I can go into View, I can resize the canvas, and I know that it's going to be a little bit bigger than my 120 by 120 hoop because that is actually a 4x4 size. So I'm just going to select 150 by 150, and I am going to keep the original scale. Alrighty, so now I am going to go into Paint. Let me darken this for a bit though. So when you go into View, you have all these options. You can show or turn off the grid. You can change the grid to inches, such as 1-inch block, but I have it at 50 millimeters because I like to keep the software for personal use 2 millimeters. Alrighty, so we're ready to roll. And I am going to resize this using the paint function up here on the paint. And I am just going to drag this across. Let me see. So there's 1, 2, trying to count. Now, rather than fight with counting the blocks, I'll just go over here to View and use my Get Length tab. And I'll just draw from this point to this point, and that's 4.4. So I need to make it a little less wide. And then top to bottom was 2.25 and a little smaller. So it's a little bit too big. And finish that. So I'm going to go back into Paint. So I'm just going to, now remember, this is just going to be in the middle of the pillow, so it doesn't have to be precise. But I'll go with that. That's 50 up here. So if I were to measure again, I'm measuring the lettering. Don't include the background. just measuring the lettering. And that's pretty good. Close enough. And top to bottom, close enough. I could make it a little bit shorter by going into paint and just go up a little bit, keeping it in proportion. Now, do you see this in the middle? These little diamonds with connected to a circle? That's going to be my center. So I'm just going to put that there in the center. This is a center marking right there. That's a center marking, but that is also to actually flip it like that. And that could possibly come in handy, but I like to leave it so I can read it and then flip it in the software. Alrighty. So I'm going to save this, and remember, I like to save first as the ECQ file. So I'm going to call this USA. So now I have a USA ECQ, and then I am going to export the picture. That's important. That's the SVG. It pops up SVG and a scalable vector graphic. And so I'm just going to save. Now, remember I told you that my little symbol is the Silhouette software because I have it associated, an SVG associated with that Silhouette software. Yours may not look like that. It probably looks like your provider, the internet provider, Google, Microsoft Edge, Safari, their symbol. But this is what I do because it opens right away, opens up in my Silhouette software so I can check it out. And there's nothing to export. Well, and that is because I need to be in Draw because there's no image. So that is a mistake that some of you do. So just remember that after you size it, you then have to go into the Draw side of the software. Now, I did find that the trace function right here, the trace area and hole, was fairly useful. So let's try it. You want purple, you don't want green. Click on that. I'm going to go in here. See how I just kind of settle it in close to the outside line? And then this one will make a hole for me. So first I'm going to do that. And then I need to do this hole. Whoops. Undo. I don't need that one. It made a hole. And how do I know it made a hole? Because I can see it right here in the film strip. Right there. Okay. Now let me try and save it as an SVG. Here we go again. Now, the one thing about this, I like to save it first just in case something happens. I want to edit the points because I want it as clean as possible before I bring it into the software. So I like to, if it's a corner, I like to change it to the square. So right over here, I hope you can see my cursor, convert points to corner. I'll click on that, and that's a corner right there. That's a corner right there, 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 and that one's good. Now, the other corner, if I go over here to this one, likewise, I don't want these to be a corner. I want those to be a curve. So I'm going to select convert points to curve. And then I'm going to click on that one and that one. Change it to corners. right here, right here. I'll change this one. That looks pretty good. Now I'm going to turn that off by selecting the edit points icon. And I'm just going to move some of these around a little bit. Oh, I missed one. That one needs to be a curve. So let me go back and convert that to a curve. Oh, now look what I did. There. Now it's curved, and I better check to see if there's any other hidden ones. Nope. All right. Now I'm going to zoom in, just scrolling in with my mouse so I can align these square points up with the outline of the pattern. Just like this. And bring this one down to cover the pattern. Line, just like that. Just like that. I'm concentrating. Okay. All right. Getting there. But as I said, the time you take to clean it up is well worth it, especially if you're going to digitize this. I am not. And you see, this almost looks like I need another node. So what I'm going to do, is there a plus sign over here? I'm going to insert points. Click on that. And then go back to the edit icon. And you see how that's smoothed out? Because I added that extra point. And then I'm just going to move this one. And that does help too. Okay. And kind of round this up by moving these up. And out a little bit. Bring that square corner down. Nice sharp corner there. Nice sharp corner there. Let me go back there. I missed that. I didn't have it lined up the way I normally do. So I'm trying to do it as quite similar to the file that you have that I gave you. Alrighty, let's see. I think that's good. There it is. All right. See these? You'll see it just barely shows. And honestly, sometimes it doesn't matter if it's not exact. But for the most part, when I turn off the nodes, I want it to be a clean image. So I have to get it over here. In other words, if this is a little off, I have to go back in here and fix the nodes. So I'd rather take care of them now than later. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now we didn't clean up the A, so I'm going to move a couple of these nodes down. So it's a nice sharp corner. And right here. And there. Maybe I can move that up a little bit. And as I said, you can zoom in if you want to get a better view. You can use, if you have your mouse attached, and I highly recommend using a mouse with this software. And just scroll in with your rolling mouse and control. Control and then roll with the mouse wheel. See, sometimes all those little extra points, I'm going to try taking it out and see if I can get a straighter line. Just delete them. That tends to be a little bit straighter line. There. I think I like that better. Take this one out too. Just kind of just getting used to how this software works. If you've ever worked with a digital software like similar to Silhouette Cameo, this is the sort of thing you would do when you're designing. You'd clean up your image. And let's take this one out and see if it makes a difference. Looks good. Now, if you want to check it before you move on, go back to View right here. Go into View and turn off the design. So I put it down as much as possible. Go back to Draw. You see right here? I'll zoom in so you can see what I'm talking about. Let me get in the right spot. See right there where it's a little wonky? That one's nice. It's not a very smooth S. That makes a difference when you're cutting with your blade. Especially if you were going to cut this out with fabric. Just remember, this is where the rotary blade turns to get the right degree of the angle to cut this curve. Hopefully that looks a little better. Let's straighten this up too. And then I'm trying to decide if I should delete this. No, now I'm going to bring that background pattern into view. So yes, I can still see the black line, so I'll try and bring this down and maybe that'll help smooth it. Bring that up. This one over. So when I did look at it before, it was quite sloppy, and that's how I know to go back and move some more nodes. I'm not going to worry about this part here because that looks pretty clean. It's the curves that give me problems because I like a really nice soft curve when it's meant to be there. Okay, now let's go back over here to the U, and I'll just drag this way. Bring up that square corner. Oh, look, I missed a couple. So let me change that right there. And it looks like the rest of them are curves. So I changed this to a corner. Now I'm going to bring that up and straighten that out. And bring this up. Bring it up. There we go. And bring this down. And I think I might delete these here. See if I can get a nice, whoops, I gotta get the minus up. See, now I can delete them. Hey, look at how nice that cleaned it right up. How about this one? Okay, now I got to go back and fix those rounded curves. You know what? I bet I'm going to have to put in a couple more nodes. So that means I have to go over here to insert points, put one there. Oh, look at that little hiccup. And one there. Ooh, not so good. All right, I'm going to scroll in right up here. Whoops, come on. So let me go back into draw and move the, all righty. So you really never know what's going to happen until you start plotting those points. And look at that. Not liking that at all. See? It's supposed to be a nice round curve. So I'm going to try putting in another one. See if that makes a difference. Another one over here. And go back and start moving some of these. So when it's a straight line, it works a little bit better as far as deleting points. Boy, this is kind of frustrating right now. There we go. Now, this is an excellent time to get into Bezier curves. So I am going to convert right here. Nope, that's join. Sorry. Here it is. Right here. Convert to Bezier line. And when I do that, you see all these little extra, these are rotating handles. I'm just going to rotate them, and this is what smooths out your lines. So what it does is it basically gets it on the correct path to a curve. To me, it's similar to sandpaper. You have a curve, but you don't have the most perfect curve. From the cut, the piece of wood example is my example. So now I'm taking a little sanding block and I'm smoothing it out. And that's what a Bezier, that's my analogy. Doesn't mean that's everybody's analogy. Let's see if I can get that. And see how this is out like that? That's why it doesn't look very good. I got to bring those rotating handles in to smooth it out. There. I don't know. I'm thinking that looks a whole lot better. Didn't think we were going to spend this much time on cleaning up this. But that's what happens when you use a trace. You get a much better result if you literally plot the points yourself with this draw function. Ooh, I see a spot over there too on the S. All right, let me move this guy over here and then move this. And move this. Okay. Move this maybe and make it a little straighter. Hopefully it's fine. Now, when you're done and you want to convert it back to the regular points, that's this icon under edit. So convert it back to a point line. And see, there's your, that's a much better curve. See how I could clean it up a little bit? Not perfect. See, this is where I get myself into a hole until it's perfect. And I have to realize that it's going to be vinyl, so it doesn't have to be perfect. But I do kind of want it to be a smooth design. All right, I think I'm ready now. Let me go back up the screen, and then I go into select none, and that clears everything up. Yep, looks good. That's what I want it to look like. So now I'm going to save or save as. So, and if I save as in the ECQ, my changes won't be lost. And then I see a spot. See what I'm talking about? There. And let's see. Oh boy, I'm going to get myself into trouble here because when I change something, I don't always change it for the better. There you go. Okay, now I'm going to have to save that again. So I get the most current file. There we go. Select none. It's going to have to do. And now I'm going to export picture as USA. And I just overwrote the one I had previously done. And now I am going to go back to my other screen. So I'm going to stop this one, go back to the crafting software. Here we are. And then I am going to go to File and insert from my device in scanned images. So I'm going to Singer Memento, going up to 2025 projects, America Mini Pillow and scanned images. And then this is the one I want. So that's a JPEG. Sorry. This is the one I want because it has the silhouette symbol. All right. Now, there we are. Convert to cut path. We're back in business again. Hit OK. Now, the one thing with this is in order to fit this on the mat, I would have to ungroup it. So I'm going to go over here to ungroup and click that. Then I am going to bring this down, and U is going to sit here in a 2x3 spot. S is going to go in a 2x3 spot. And I'm talking about the cut piece of vinyl. And A is going to go in this 2x3 spot. Now, if I cut it like this and go to press it on, the S is backwards. U and A are symmetrical, so that doesn't matter. So the only one I want to change is S, and I want to go in and transform that and just flip it side to side, just like that. Okay. Now I'm going to leave this all one color because I'm going to put the vinyl on the mat and it'll cut all at once. It'll cut both of the fabric pieces at the same time because they're both the same color. So color is the key. If you want something to cut all at once after you've set it up, then change it to one color. Alrighty. Now I'm going to save this as my USA pillow. And I'm going to go into our pillow folder, and I am not going to change it. I am going to, I have to fix my mouse because I click on it once and it changes. So, and that does become a problem. There we are. USA Mini Pillow 2. And now we're ready to cut that out. All righty. Closing down.